I've been here for 15 years, and this is the first imposter case I've had in a school district.
A woman posing as a nurse gets a job at an elementary school. Problem is, she's not really a nurse. Good evening, and thanks for watching. I'm Scott Inman.
And I'm Christina Munoz. We'll have more on that story in just a moment.
Back now to our top story. For the past 6 years, Suzanne Pitts has been treating kids at Sidney Diener Elementary School.
And through the Freedom of Information Act, we now know that Pitts' license was forged. Channel 7's Janelle Lilly joins us now with a story that you'll see only here on Channel 7. Janelle, what'd you find?
Well, Christina, this is a copy of the requirements from the school district to be a school nurse. Qualification number 1 is to be a registered nurse. Now, unfortunately, that's the one qualification Suzanne Pitts does not have yet. For the past 6 years, she has been administering medication and shots to children.
We protect our kids from speeders. We protect them from predators. But according to the Searcy police, a danger much closer to the elementary students at Sidney Diener was not only through these doors, but on the payroll. Nurse Suzanne Pitts was hired 6 years ago. But until this week, no one knew her name wasn't really Suzanne Pitts, but Suzanne Johnson. And she wasn't really a nurse.
She's saying that she's a nurse and practicing all the nursing jobs without any certification whatsoever.
This was taken at the school.
Deborah Jones of the State Board of Nursing began investigating Johnson weeks ago after the school district's nursing coordinator felt that something just didn't add up.
We could not verify the license. We felt like the license that was provided in her personnel file were altered. They were fake.
It was as simple as checking the license number in the state's website.
You go in and either put the nurse's name or the license number, and if you put in the license number she gave, it would come up with somebody else's name. And so that should tip them off saying there's something fishy here.
But for 6 years, this license went unchecked. Through the Freedom of Information Act, we obtained copies of her applications and license. And even to our untrained eyes, 2 issues arose. Number 1, the license numbers didn't match. Number 2, the card reads Anna Pitts, a nickname which wouldn't have been allowed on official documents. We showed the card to the nursing director and investigator. They immediately pointed out 3 other issues.
The audit number was issued in 2008.
The audit number shouldn't be the same. Sue Tedford was the director in 2011, and the fonts didn't match. We also found issues in Johnson's employment history, all easy to spot if someone had checked. That's what upsets parents like Ariel Johnson the most.
ABC, you should definitely know for a fact if you're going to hire someone that their references and that their license is up to date or true. Just the thought of her being in someone's care who's not trained, that's pretty alarming.
Alarming to the Board of Nursing as well.
We have children that go into schools that have tracheostomies, that have diabetes, that have multiple medical problems that need to be managed. And that's the school nurse's responsibility while they're there at that school.
Boy, a lot going on in that story. Now, you mentioned police are involved, so have there been charges, and is she still with the school?
Well, Christina, to answer your second question, yes, she is still employed by the Searcy School District, but she has been charged by police for practicing medicine without a license and could be facing more charges as this investigation continues. But at this point, if she's convicted on that one charge, she would only face a year in jail.
No doubt a lot of concerned parents out there tonight. Janelle Lilly reporting live for us. Thank you.
A stranger took care of my kid that has a life-threatening disease.
Parents react to the news that a person they trusted with their child's life was not qualified for the job. Good evening and thank you for joining us on this Friday. I'm Christina Munoz.
And I'm Scott Inman. School nurses today deal with more than just tummy aches and bruises. Oftentimes they are caring for children with serious conditions. Channel 7's Janelle Lilly continues our coverage today with the story of a mother who is outraged by the deception. Janelle.
Well, 7-year-old Trenton Williams has cystic fibrosis. It's a disease that not only shortens the lives of its victims, but also threatens them. Every school day for the last 2 years, Trenton was placed in the care of a woman known as Suzanne Pitts, a woman Trenton and his mom Rachel trusted with a precious life, and a woman who, despite the licenses hanging on her office wall, was not a nurse.
She was a great person. I mean, she really was. She cared about Trenton. She seemed to care about his treatment.
And in return, Rachel Williams and her son Trenton cared about Miss Pitts, even changing school districts to stay with her. But no one knew Pitts was really Suzanne Johnson, with a lengthy criminal past, including practicing medicine without a license in Florida in 1989 and in Tennessee in 1990. After 6 years at Sidney Diener, she's facing those charges again.
She lied to parents. She lied to me. She lied to Trenton, who was in tears because that was his friend.
And the caregiver to a child battling a dangerous disease.
The medicine he has to have every day, she administered that. He has to have sometimes 4 breathing treatments a day with airway clearance, a vest machine that shakes the mucus out. Closely monitored and everything.
Rachel also trusted the school, but when we called previous employers listed on Johnson's resume, we quickly discovered several errors. She was fired from one place for not having a nursing license and subbed at Bradford for a day, not a year.
Complete neglect. I mean, that person is to take care of how many kids? A whole school, and you don't call a reference, or you call a reference and ignore it. It takes how long to put a license number in the computer?
Rachel spoke to the school superintendent today to find out what can be done about her child's medical forms that are no longer valid.
What did Miss Barrett say to that?
That she's still employed, that it's fine. We would discuss that later. We're not discussing. No.
A lot of parents are upset about this. The school district denied our request for an interview regarding their hiring practices. Christina?
Well, it's been a shocking story from the start and just gets more so as we continue. Janelle, thank you.
Tonight, the Searcy School Board fired a woman who has been posing as a licensed school nurse. Suzanne Johnson, also known as Suzanne Pitts, was terminated with cause as the Searcy Police Department continues to build a case against her.
Channel 7's Janelle Lilly was at the meeting tonight and spoke with the superintendent as well as concerned parents. Janelle.
Well, Beth, there were several loose ends that were tied up tonight, including firing Johnson and a review of the district's hiring process. But some parents say they still were left wanting more from the board. They want some accountability.
I recommend that Suzanne Pitts be terminated as nurse at Sidney Diener Elementary.
With those words, the Searcy School District ended its silence surrounding the hiring and now firing of this woman, Suzanne Johnson. It was the silence that drove parent Becky Robbins to come to the meeting tonight for answers. Her little girl, who has a congenital heart defect, had been under the care of Johnson for 2 years.
If she was not given the medication on a daily basis, she could have had fatal effects.
Thankfully, that didn't happen, but just the possibility was enough to break this mother of 5's trust in the school district.
We keep talking about the fact that we were shocked that she wasn't really a nurse, but we're more shocked that the school did not know that.
The district acknowledged that breach of trust. Following the meeting, Superintendent Diane Barrett expressed regret for the hire and released this statement that reads in part, "We as a district are committed to using intensive measures to try to ensure that something of this nature does not occur again." The school has now verified the license of every nurse, but that assurance just isn't enough for some parents who say what they really want is accountability.
I want to know how the school district is going to be held. Are they not responsible for any of this? I mean, 6 years, this should not be the end of it.
The school has hired nurses to review all of those student health plans signed by Nurse Pitts. Those should be in place this fall. Beth?
Janelle, what about Johnson? Have we heard at all from her or know where she is?
Yeah, well, we stopped by her house today to see if she was willing to talk, only to find out from the new tenant that she had moved out last week. Now, we called the police department, and they say that they were not given a forwarding address either.
Okay, thanks so much, Janelle Lilly, tonight.